We ready to start, Rabbi?
What did you say?
Are we ready to start?
You have 1 minute. Give it 1 minute.
Okay.
I also don't know nothing.
It's not like one of them is immediately like base or something.
Rabbi, is this year 34 or 35?
Let's see Jankless, right? Jankless. Siget. Fagela. Because you touched it. Thank you. Thank you for touching it. Sure. Yes. Okay, last time we gave Hakatamas and we didn't last very long. So this time we're going straight to work. As Hashem. Today everybody's like, new sugya. New sugya. Kimat, this is really the last sugya in Hilchos Bishul, real Bishul. Yeah, the microphone's working. Is my microphone working? No, but he's asking me to check it. Okay, everybody say. Upon him. Wait, I want to turn this one off. Is she on mute? Yeah, she's on mute. Okay, everybody say. Perfect. Akapanim, no Agdamas. We know what happened last time. So we're in the last sugya, everybody say, in Hilchos Shabbos, Bishul. This is the sugya of Hagasa, of mixing on Shabbos, which is not just the sugya of mixing, it's also the sugya of covering a pot. It's also the sugya of taking out food taking out the cholent with a spoon, etc. And we'll see, Bez Hashem, how to take food out on Shabbos. This gets us be'emes into the next sugyas of Shia Chazarat Mana, of how you actually are able to take out food on Shabbos. This is the last sugya in Hilchos Bishul. I hope Bez Hashem, let's see what happens today. It could be Bez Hashem tomorrow, already we'll start Shia. Bez Hashem, if that'll be the case, then I'll be ahead of the Marmar Koimis. And if it's not the case, by tomorrow, Bez Hashem already there. Anyways, we'll be Marmar Koimis on Shia, and hopefully within the next 2 days, Bez Hashem, we'll be starting Shia Chazarat Mana. Bez Hashem. Now, I mentioned that yesterday, I was told that I might have maybe said something, I'm not sure if I did or didn't, but irrelevant, it's very good to reiterate. I might have said yesterday that when you take out a frozen drink from the freezer, you take it out from the freezer and it's totally frozen, so I mentioned you can't smash it up. And I mentioned if you want to just take it out and let it melt, so I've differentiated. I said if it's has actual liquid on the bottom, you have a drink, it has, sometimes it's half of it's frozen, part of it's frozen, and a lot of it has juice. So if it's melting into the liquid, then that's for sure okay. That's good according to Kuliyan. If the whole thing is frozen, which is, not such a common case, but it's, the whole entire thing, I shouldn't say that, but the whole thing is frozen. So now we said if the whole thing is frozen, that's a machlekes between the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah. Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to do it. The Ramah says you're not allowed to do it lechatchila. And b'makom tzarich you're allowed to do it. So you have to kaveh. Is it a makom tzarich? Is it a tzarich orchim, etc. That's what I said. But one thing to make clear: let's say you have partial ice and partial liquid. That all I said is that you can let it melt. But to go and crush it, so that you can't do. The emes is that it's a machlekes. And Mishabur says you should be machmer on it. When you crush it up and there's no liquid there, that's an Isser Gomer. But if you want to crush it up, and now Marino's ice is, I'm being guessed. The truth is, I haven't seen this Marino fellow in 30 years. So I can't tell you, I 100% remember what he looks like, but it's like he's got to get like a little oar, right? That is, am I right? That's what it is? Okay, thank you, Sammy. They have these little oars and you scrape. Scraping has nothing to do with our sugya. Why shouldn't you be allowed to scrape on Shabbos? I don't see why you shouldn't be allowed to. You don't understand, Rabbi Tersh, do you? It's a piece of ice. It's a block of ice. They took it from an Italian, something down like Sicily or something, and they bring it over. They ship it like with the mikvayos. So they ship cubes of ice in order to have for mikvayos. And then you take an oar. It's not a real oar like for a boat. It's like a little small oar, and then you scrape it off. Why should that be usher? What's the problem of taking ice and making it into little ice strips? What's your problem, Rabbi Paulson? What should be the problem with such a thing? I don't see why that should be usher. So therefore, no, I don't see why it should be usher. Now, upon him. So that's number one. But again, to crush up always is usher. It's just that if you're crushing up and there's no liquid, that's mamish usher. But if you're crushing up and there's a liquid, that's a machlekes Mishabur says to be machmir. If you're taking it out and it's totally frozen, that's a machlekes Shulchan Aruch the Rambam Mishabur's make whatever. If you're taking it out to melt into the liquid itself, so then b'diavad we are mekel. Is that crystal clear, Rabbi Isai? Crystal clear. Okay. Now, Rabbi Isai, that's number one. Number two is that halacha l'maisa nafkamina comes out, kafi what we spoke about yesterday, and we spoke about this in the beginning, but now just to theorize halacha l'maisa, we spoke about these souffles. Does everybody know what these souffles are? There's two types of souffles. There's the more advanced suras souffle, which is that they cook they bake the brownie to about, let's say 65, 70% of his giddle. It gets about 65, 70%. And then they have inside that little packet of the uncooked piece of chocolate juicy part that inside. And then you take it, you put it on top of the hot plate or whatever it is, and you put it there, and then it heats up. But what's really taking place over there, that's a real bishul, or at least it's at least a suffix bishul. We spoke out stud in Beshaita all the way back when, 30 shiurim ago, I think it was. There's a shaila. Does anybody know if it's 65% is called fully cooked, klape this item, and maybe it's supposed to be 70? I wouldn't take a chayes for that. If that's the way you're making your souffle, I would not let you put it on top of a hot plate on Shabbos. That would be too scary. Meaning, even if you're putting it on an upside down pan, and I would definitely be too scared. Come again? I don't have a number. The point is that what they do is they don't fully cook it. They don't fully bake it. It gets, let's say, 70% or something like that. And now, come again? I'm scared because then you're going from 70% to 75 or to 80 or whatever. So you're going to say, yeah, but that's what I want, right? I don't know. Maybe bats and l'chatchila is supposed to be a 75, and it's hard to be conveyed what's called fully cooked. Clap of this item. I would definitely, no way, be allowed such a thing. Now, for sure not. No, is that clear, Rabbi Drazen? Crystal clear. I could pun him, but clear? No, I'll throw you out. What's not clear? What? What's he not sure? I don't know. So if it's not fully baked, then you can't put that on could you please leave? You know, there's a Gemara in Baba Basra on Daf Chav Dalet. The Gemara says that Reb Zera and Reb Yirmiyah were talking, and Reb Zera said, Reb Yirmiyah said, what about 1 foot in and 1 foot down? They threw him out of the base medrash. If you look in Baba Basra, in Daf Kuf Samech, I think it was Kuf Samech Ches, 144 plot later, they let him back into the base medrash. Watch it, okay? That look what happened to all these guys behind the computer screen. I don't know the exact number. That's the point. So if that's how you're making your stand on Shabbos, who could take a chayes for such a thing? Erwin, you could take a chayes for such? I don't think so. However, there's a more yeshivish. I don't know why everything there is yeshivish. I mean, why can't the yeshivish car be a Porsche? I mean, a Mazda. But I don't know why is everything bad yeshivish. Upon him, there's a more yeshivish way of making, what's this? Ma'aseh Jaya? That the grand rabbi of Ramat Shlomo I was making on it. I wouldn't take a chayes on it anymore. Could be that was in my youth, but I wouldn't take a chayes. I was makel during these shiurim. I was makel in a previous Gilgal. The previous Gilgal is not a riot. In the previous Gilgal is not a riot. It's too scary. I mean, who can know if it's considered fully cooked? If it's not considered fully cooked, who can take a chayes? Right? The house on Shabbos Kodesh, I was makel, but it was after these Sidras Hashirim, or is it after learning Bishul now this time, or no? It's before. If it was before, then not now. Okay, so then I can't take a chayes. Okay, who can take a chayes on such a statement? Somebody asked me, what if I decide I'll take it off before it gets the Yatzalettis bite? So we're going to make the Gzeirus Hefsher on that. So, since anyways, Michael ben Drusai is considered according to some sheet is cooked. So maybe it could be. I can't take a chayes on these things. I don't know. I'm not taking chayes. I'm not taking a chayes on this. What do you want from me? But sometimes they make it in a much more yeshivish way. Why everything fancy yeshivish? I don't know. But they take a brownie and they stup in a piece of chocolate, bar of chocolate. Don't worry. They put it inside a piece of chocolate. And now what happens? That piece of chocolate, she melts. Right? That's how it goes. And then, so it makes you think like you're having a souffle because there's a little piece of hot chocolate in the middle. It's not really the Mevinim know that's not how you do it. But very Jewish. But apparently a lot of people do it like this. Right? It's not a nice way to talk about your wife, Sandy. So that, after yesterday's shir, no, what do you say? Everybody say, you guys tell me, what should be? What also? No, after yesterday's shir, what should be? You got to take it. We have the chocolate. I'll be more aggressive. You got to take it, put the chocolate inside on Shabbos. Like, we think to ourselves like, whoa, I don't think they do it like that. I think what they do is that there's like a shlav in the baking where they take the chocolate and put it in at the end or something. But let's say you put it on Shabbos. You made one of these brownies and you want to shtup secharayim, you do a little surgery over there and you put inside the piece of chocolate. And now you want to put her on the upside down pan on the hot plate or whatever. So if this, I'm seeing over here that everybody's saying it's mutter. Why? Because mitzad noilad, is she noilad? To go from a piece of chocolate solid to a piece of chocolate liquid, it's probably oichel, my stomach doesn't noilad. Second of all, it gets nivla into the piece of cake itself. I'm not afraid of the noilad here. What about mitzad bishul? It started, the chocolate was already previously cooked. So what happens? If you have a piece of chocolate that was previously cooked, which is now a solid. So a piece of solid that's going into a liquid form, we look at the shlav of the beginning. And I would think that such a thing should be mutter. Crystal clear? Right? I asked Rabbi Yitzchak, he was masking his son. It's a practical application of what we spoke about yesterday. The chayr, that's number 2. Number 3 is that what about, again, this is not, was? No, because we hold that when you're dealing with bishul, starting a solid and ending a liquid doesn't matter when it comes to bishul. We look at the beginning, look at what it started with. If it started as a solid, that's beseder. Excuse me, what? Even if she's not? Yeah, I'm not so worried. No, yeah. Mitzad the bishul, the need in it, Bichlal doesn't bother me because we look at the beginning. The only question is mitzad the noilad. So mitzad the noilad, we have the svar that we mentioned yesterday. That's something that's chocolate. There's no such thing as it's a shei meichel bein when it's the solid, bein when it's the liquid. Like we said that type of svar yesterday because it's made of a lot of oichel and whatever. Okay. Akapanim. What about melting chocolate chips or a bar? Okay, I mean, see this. He's right. The fidus that should come out that if you want to melt a bar of chocolate on Shabbos, it should be mutter. I'm a little bit, boss. Come again? It might not be noilad because noilad, you're taking chocolate that was a solid and making a liquid chocolate. Liquid chocolate might not be a noilad. Excuse me. Boss? Outburst. Sorry? Why am I being mitzaref? Okay, so Rabbi, it's very good. Rabbi Feigenbaum is correct. I'm being Muram is that it's not so simple to me, this svara of something that was a solid chocolate that becomes a liquid chocolate that we're not going to say noilad. So I was mitzaref that anyways, like Rabbi Sher was batting his head under that fancy mask over there. It could be that anyways it's melting into the chocolate brownie. So since she's melting into the chocolate brownie, so then I wouldn't have to worry anyways about noilad like we saw yesterday. So I don't know if I would let you take a piece of chocolate and go and actually melt it by itself. Because man, that it's mamish there and it's in the brownie, maybe on the side of the brownie, that doesn't bother me. But that's what comes out. Now, sorry? I want to take a little piece of chocolate. Rabbi Chaim wants to take some chocolate on Shabbos, and he wants to put it inside like his, like a hot cocoa. When's he having a hot cocoa? When's he having hot cocoa? Because only goyim eat milchiks for lunch, and to have that cocoa before davening is extreme. So when's he having that cocoa? So he means like, let's say, like shal shudis. Like shal shudis. Not only goyim have shal shudis, even Jews have shal shudis milchiks. That's not so strange. So he says like shal shudis comes and he wants to take a hot cocoa and he wants to milk a piece of chocolate inside it. What would such a thing be mutter or aser? No. Whipped cream we said was aser.
right back into liquid.
Even that, don't cause trouble. The whole thing doesn't.
Trouble, you leave it out on the table for 10 seconds and solidify.
No, but here he's putting. So let's go in order. First of all, you're taking the piece of chocolate and putting it into hot cocoa, and it dissolves into the cocoa, into the milk. So therefore, anyways, we have the svaras that we said yesterday that when you have ice and it goes into the water, it's not a problem. Now, if you're going to start smashing it, then you'd have the problem, right? You have the problem. I'll go upon him. Again, tachlis abaisai, to take stam, they ask a shayla abaisai, how are you allowed to mix sugar inside a tea? You're doing a ma'aseh biyadayim of dissolving that sugar into the tea. You're doing it biyadayim. You're dissolving the sugar biyadayim. So they say svaras. One svar they say it's not really dissolve. What you're doing is when you stir, you're allowing the sugar to separate from itself. So then that sugar particle, she flies over there and she flies over there and that one flies over there. And then it on its own gets melted from the liquid. But all you did by stirring, you're not really crushing it. That's not what you're doing. You're just allowing it to disperse. And then the mela, it melts on its own. Of course, the chocolate's the same way. If you take the chocolate and put it into the hot cocoa and taka on Shabbos, it would be mutter. That what you're having for Shal Shuddis, yeah. Akapanim, or for children, maybe little they want to have breakfast. Even Jewish kids eat for breakfast, like little girls and things like that. Akapanim, that's a chayra. Now, by say, just one more case. Somebody asked me, it's not really related to what we're talking about, but it's like a first cousin when you're discussing desserts. We spoke about it already, but apparently it's become like a very normal fanciness over here that they have a piece of boiling hot cake. That could be a kli rishon. They take it straight, it could be a davar gush anyways, right? And they put onto it like a little thing of ice cream, cold ice cream onto a boiling hot thing of a davar gush of a boiling hot brownie, right? And apparently the hotter the cake, the more fancy it is. I was like, this sounds pretty bad to me. Why not? I don't know. Sounds a bit bad. I mean, if the resultant mixture is going to be not yatzalez, but we could talk. But I don't know. I mean, right away when you put it on, it cooks that layer. Sounds pretty bad to me. I don't know. I don't know if it could be made on such a thing. It's a davar gush. Yeah, there are ingredients inside the ice cream which were not cooked. Sounds pretty bad to me. And somebody told me a different fancy people thing, that they take boiling hot chocolate syrup. This we spoke about. But they take boiling hot chocolate syrup. So if you're taking it straight out of the kli rishon, boiling hot chocolate syrup, and they're pouring it onto ice cream, so that could be iri kli rishon. Now, you have a very simple eitzah. All you have to do is put it into another cup, and then from there pour it, and then it'll be an iri kli sheni. So it's not so, it's nicht ekveld. So that's what Rabbi say is the previous sugya. Now let me gain weiter. Challah and dips, we never mentioned. What's the shayla challah and dips? Dips aren't hot. What's he talking about? What? Oh, the challah is hot. Oh, sorry. The challah is hot. The challah is not. It's not boiling. The challah can be boiling. The challah is boiling. By the time you get to the dip, the challah is boiling. You have to cut it up for you, your wife. What? What do you mean? Say that, but you have to cut it first on the cutting board. It takes a few seconds already. That no, yatzaletas by the chal yatzaletas. What? Really? Is that how? Okay. So now you want to know? Can I put her inside the dip? And she's a davar gush. If you're telling me it's so hot, that something sounds weird to me. That sounds like extreme. No? Is it? She's a gush. Why not? She's on the, first of all, sometimes, she's a gush. Why not? You take a boiling hot piece of cake straight off the pan and put it into your plate. Pause? Even if what? I know, I'm talking where it's boiling out. I'm saying where it's boiling out. Now, but let me get back. We have to start Hagasa. Is everybody saying, let's make a little Hagdama over here at Hagasa. The Mishabur over here, in the end of the Siman, it's quite interesting because the Mishabur, the Shulchan Aruch over here, in Sivan Yud Ches, excuse me. Ha'ilfis v'akadeira she'avirim musachem me'agabe or. If you have these types of pans, these pots, etc. Im loyin is bashul kol tzarchai. If the food was not fully cooked, you have a cholent that's not fully cooked, etc. You can have food that's not fully cooked. So then you're not even allowed to put a spoon in. No putting spoons inside. Why? Because nimtza megis. What's nimtza megis? What's mix? And kol shekein lahagis itself, says the Mishabur over here. Dahainu, to mix something which is not fully cooked, that's an issa deraisa. Why is that an issa deraisa? Because that's a problem that you're causing it to cook faster. If you have something which wasn't fully cooked and now you go and mix it, it's going to cook faster. How's it work? You can understand yourself. There's a bean over there that she wasn't next to the boiling hot kli rishon, the pan, etc. She wasn't next to these boiling hot, the whole entire thing is a kli rishon. So it was sitting over there, nestled safely, and all of a sudden you move her over there. So now you're causing it to get cooked faster. That's bane on the fire. That's bane off of the fire. You're not allowed to mix. Ad kedei kach says the Shulchan Aruch over here, you're not allowed to take out with a spoon something that's not fully cooked. Okay, we'll see in a minute if it's not such a common case. Is it a common case? I'm saying, Manashach, if you accidentally took off the cholent, you're in big trouble anyways, right? You know, like that's what it says over here. Shulchan Aruch, nimtzim megis, vim nispashal called sorchai. But if the food was fully cooked, it's mutter. It seems like it's mutter to do everything. It seems like it's mutter to megis, called sorchai. Says the Mishnah, afilu the haggis. If you have a fully cooked cholent, you're allowed to mix. Why not? If you have a fully cooked cholent, are you allowed to take it and put it back on a fire? That's all the halachas of chazar. As long as you have the t'nayim of chazar, you're going to be allowed to take a fully cooked cholent. Once it's fully cooked, it's game over. Ain't bishul achar bishul. Okay. So is there a problem to go and mix it? How could it be a problem? Rabbi said, could it be worse than putting it on a fire? So that's what the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch is very simple. If it's fully cooked, mutter to do everything. Mutter to mix, mutter to put it back, mutter to take out with a spoon, not go mutter. If it's not fully cooked, so now you have a problem. When you're going to mix it, you're going to cause it to cook faster. If you're going to take out with a spoon, so then that also, you're going to take out some, you cause that which is in there to cook faster, or akopanim, you might come to be megas. So therefore, that's nisser. Shabura learns it's a nisser d'Rabbanan. Shabura Sivkot and Kuf Yadal, it says, if the pot is off the fire, so then it's a problem of an isser d'Rabbanan when it's not fully cooked. So again, not fully cooked, also to mix, not fully cooked, also to take out. But if it's fully cooked, so then it sounds like everything is mutter, and it's like Davzayin. Why shouldn't it be mutter once it's fully cooked? That's the most basic thing that you've learned in this room the whole entire time. Once something is fully cooked, what can be the problem? I can even put it back on a fire. Sorry? It's timing for Yafla is mutter. Right? As long as you don't have an issue with Tzad Chazar, you have a blech, and you have plans on putting it back, so there's no problem. That's l'choira, the shita of the Shulchan Aruch. And to give you a little bit more Kedam over here, so the Mishabur and Simkat in Kuf Yud Ches in the last Mishabur is a very long Mishabur over here. So Mishabur brings down over here, he brings the Gemara in Be'ah, Daf Lamed Daled. Echad Noisin is like a dera, somebody put the pot on the fire, and somebody put in the milk water, and someone put the meat, and someone put the spices, and someone put the trees, and somebody actually lit the fire. And then afterward, somebody comes and he mixes. So then the halach is, the two last guys, they're chayiv. What's the pshat? The pshat is very simple. Until you put on the fire, you didn't do bishul. Once you put on the fire, now you did bishul. So now comes along the fellow while it's bivashling, and he's megas, he stirs it. It's an uncooked item, so he's causing it to cook faster. Very simple. That's the halacha. Very simple. Very simple. The Mishabura brings down over here that, like I just mentioned, even when it's off the fire in Sivkat and Kuf Yadal, Mishabura says kol shekei in the haggis. Mishabura brings down over here, even if it's not on the fire. Look in the Sharatzi and Kuf Lamed Zayin over here, to take out with a spoon. He says that's only a Nissa D'Rabbanan. He's talking where it's off the fire, but it seems to be that it's very simple. When you're uncooked, everything is asur. Rabbi say if you're uncooked, you can't put a lid on top of it. You can't put a lid if it's uncooked, even if you're not putting the lid on while it's on the fire. If it's on the fire, of course it's also, you're going to cook it faster. If it's off the fire, you're also going to cause it to cook faster, Rabbi say, because now the steam goes up and gets trapped in by the lid. Ayin and Shulchan Aruch and Yeridei and Sivan Tzadi Beis. That's how it works with Basar B'cholav also. So now you have a lid, you put it on, it's not cooked. It's going to cause whatever's inside there to cook faster. It's going to go up only 20%, 5%. That doesn't matter. When going upward in Michael Ben Drusai up, that's already a problem. Once you're going from Michael Ben Drusai, what? Of course it's going to go up. No, it'll go up. But it'll go up. It's a Kli Rishon. Kli Rishon is Mevashal. Ani Ma'amin Ben Munish Leim, Kli Rishon is Mevashal. It has its own, it traps the heat. What do you mean? Of course it does. Of course it does. Right now, take a thermometer and put it in. It's open, so the air is coming in and making it cold. And when you put the cover on, it's hot. It makes it hotter. I'm not sure. Why isn't it going on? Of course it goes on. Rabbi say, the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish and Dalet says it first. I'm not sure if I have to explain it, but the Shulchan Aruch, Reish Nun Dalet Siv Dalet, Peres Shenecholim Chayin. If you have fruit like apples that are eaten raw, so it's mutter to put them near a fire. He's talking about mitzad Erev Shabbos. Shulchan Aruch says, "Miu tzarich lizoyer loy yachzir akisui im nizgala mishachashecha." Make sure not to put the lid on. Menayer ligmor bishulai. It causes it to cook faster. Says in Mishabura. He says in Mishabura. Avalacha pairs mizbashim v'holchin. After mitarak there, nizgala b'shabbos shiloi kisui malamala shel ikstan mutal lachzor. Avalacha pairs mizbashim v'holchin b'shabbos v'kisu gamkin aleim ayidei kisui. It's menayer ligmor the bishulai. Yeah, that's not a raya. That's when it's on the Aish. The raya when it's not on the Aish is in Reish and Zayin Siv Dalid. What's it say over here? Reish and Zayin Siv Dalid. Shulchan says, let's see. Here, Aval, he's talking about where it's not on the fire. Rabbi Bolzan, he's talking where it's not on the fire. And he says, when it's not on the fire, he's discussing over here the sugya of covering things. He's discussing about hatmana. Hatmana is when it's not on the fire. He says, but if it's the who, shinis bashul kol tzarcha. He's discussing over here that if you had a towel wrapped around the pot on Erev Shabbos, you're allowed to take off that towel and put back into the towel. As long as it was previously wrapped, you don't have a problem with atmana, unless you're doing atmana for the first time. But if you're just re-atmaning, it's okay. Then he goes on, he says, that's all if it's fully cooked. Aval, im einem v'shel is called tzarchai, afilu lo hoisif ala kisi aser. You can't add even a kisei. Shetosef is ze goyrim le is bashal. And the Bir Lachas explains over here. He says, even a lid, even a kisei. You take a kisei and you put it on a. So tachlis, when something is not cooked, you can't mix it. You can't mix it on the fire. You can't mix it off the fire. When something is not cooked, you can't put a lid on. You can't put a lid on the fire. You can't put a lid on off the fire. When something is not cooked, you can't take out with a spoon. Not on the fire, not off the fire. Everything is aser. There was a Jew, I mentioned the case of the baked apples. So somebody told me, interesting thing, terrible thing. He told me that for years, he didn't realize that there's bishul on an apple. Remember we mentioned it last week about the apples. So he never thought that there's bishul on the apples. Because he said an apple is edible. So he never thought that there's a bishul on an apple. Okay. So he said, he used to take out every Friday night the chicken from the oven. And it would, right when the oven would go off, what would happen? The oven would go off, right? Then they would go and they would take out the chicken from the oven. They would time it, Baruch, that it should happen a half an hour into the Suda, something like that. 30 minutes into the Suda, the oven would go off, and then they would take out the chicken. They didn't want to start with blacks. Whatever, we'll see if that's so posh. It was mutter. They took out the chicken every Friday night, and then they closed the door of the oven. Closed the door of it. What was inside the oven still? The apples. That was his Zaynik Shabbos. His Zaynik Shabbos was to have a nice hot apple for dessert. Inside that oven is boiling hot. Right? It just turned off. A minute ago it was at 200 and it just turned off. Now when the oven door is open, okay, so what happens when the oven door is open? So now it's not 200 degrees in there, it's 300 degrees there. Then the air gets in. What are you doing when you close the door? You're causing that apple to get baked more and more and more. And that's exactly what he was doing. That is 100% Isser Deraisa. Isser Deraisa. Right? You're causing the apple to get baked more and more and more and more. Okay, what would we do? Would we ask the apple even with the Evid? Maybe. Right? Akapanim. The apple was not fully baked yet. No, that's the whole point. That's how he did it. He timed it. That of course it's not fully baked. No, that was the whole point. He did it in a way. He had it all timed out perfectly. That it should be. It was a mashu soft by the time of the chicken. He said by the end of the meal it was just right. But what's that? What's the issue there? It's a not fully cooked apple that when you're closing the oven door, the tanner, this really is a Ramah. In the end of Siman, Reish, and Tess, this is the Ramah's example. Again, once we're dealing with non-fully, with things that are not official Chatzorchai, says the Helik Ramah. Ramah says, don't close. Veneerly, the mutter lachs of listoim a tanner. He's discussing closing a tanner in general. Hainu by yoim. Ava balayla, yesh safek, shema, the pots aren't fully cooked. Don't you dare close the door, because then you're causing it to be mivashal. Same idea, Rabbi Bolzan. You're taking something which is not fully cooked, you're trapping the heat, and you're being shtamish with the heat. My example with the apple, the Ramah says even if you have a suffix, you don't even know. Maybe the pot is fully cooked. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. You could have heard it's a sveika. Something number one, maybe it's for sure Michael Ben Drusai. So maybe Michael Ben Drusai is not cooking. Something number two is maybe it's fully cooked. No. Says the Bir Halacha, says the Ramah. Ramah says, don't you dare do it. Don't you close the oven door and trap the heat on something that's not fully cooked. It's off limits. If it's not fully cooked, it's off limits. Is that crystal clear, Rabbi Isai? When it's not fully cooked, it's off limits. You can't take out, you can't mix it on the fire, off the fire. You can't take out with a spoon on the fire, off the fire. You can't cover it on the fire, off the fire. You can't cover it with a tonner on the fire, off the fire. It doesn't make a difference. That's all usher if it's not yet fully cooked. This is a called pasha tulachem, very pasha. We saw once another case. Remember, there was one more case that we spoke about where something wasn't fully cooked yet, and we said something that was usher. Remembers? Rabbi he told us about an urn. Rabbi told us when you have an urn, he said if the water didn't get fully cooked yet, so he wanted to make even maybe a gzeira, if you remember, but certainly it's usher to take out a cup of water if it's not fully cooked. So we discussed what if the water is already at 180 degrees and you're just going up to 212 and whatever. But let's say it's 140 degrees or something like that, 150 degrees or even 160, because now we know Ramesh is a little bit scared. Ramesh had it sad that Yatzel led this place 170. That was like 75 degrees Celsius. So let's say you're only up to 160, and now you're going to get it. You're going to take out a cup of water, and now the rest of the water there is going to get to 180. Instead of in 5 minutes, it's going to get there in 3 minutes. So that's usher. That's usher. The kitzur, when something is not cooked, it's off limits, Rabbi Greenberg. Totally off limits. That's how it goes. Okay? Now, Baisai is a say. And that's all. And even in a suffix, we saw, it's all pashit. Is everything I'm saying pashit? No, Erwin, it's pashit or not. Everything's pashit. It's all, okay. Is a Baisai. Now we start one of the most non-pashita halachas in the whole entire Sefer Mishnah Berurah. In 600, I know for sure this is the most non-pashita halacha in all the Mishnah Berurah. How can you make such a whopper of a statement, no? The most not pashut halacha in the whole 697 Sivan. How do I know? Because there is one place, to my knowledge, I mean, I don't know, I don't have these buttons. I mean, I do have these buttons, but I don't know how to press them. But in my knowledge, and I'm sure somebody in the share is going to tell me if I'm right or wrong, but to my knowledge, in all 697 Simanim of the Sefer Mishnah Berurah, to my knowledge, there is one place where the Mishnah Berurah says, V'loi Eda Hatam. I do not know the reason why. 697 times. Rabbi Khan, do you know a different place? No, you don't know one. In 697 simanim, there's only one place that the Mishnah Berurah says, I don't know. And that's over here in this Mishnah Berurah in Sharat Tzion Kemach. Over here, the Sharat Tzion doesn't know the reason why. If the Sharat Tzion doesn't know the reason why, Rabbi say, who could know that? I don't know. This is where the Mishnah Berurah is the only place where the Mishnah Berurah. No, Rabbi Feigenbaum. Is there any other place that the Mishnah Berurah says I don't know. I don't know any other place. Right? In a minute, we'll see somebody who found some Dirshu, Girsa or something. But until then, there's no other place that the Mishnah. My knowledge, there's no other place, nowhere. That you knew everything. No, you want to give it a try, Rabbi Meisner? What do you want to give it a try? Do you know another place? I don't think so. My first guess. Ask the little girls over there. Is there any other place that in the whole Sefer Mishnah Berurah, the Mishnah Berurah says, V'loi eidatam? So you're about to learn now the most not pashit halacha in the whole entire Sefer Mishnah Berurah. Unbelievable, no? It's good to come in just for that. So there's a shita, the Rosh, in the third parak of Masechta Shabbos, in Halacha Yud Aleph, the Rosh says, if you have something which is fully cooked, you're allowed to mix it. Pashit. Why not? If it's fully cooked, Rabbi say, if it's fully cooked and I put it on the lid, why not? If it's fully cooked and I take it and put it back on the fire. The whole entire dinam of Chazara are based on a fully cooked chalent that you're putting back onto the fire as long as you have a blood. So how in the world could there be a problem with mixing it if it's fully cooked? It's impossible, Rabbi say. Okay? That's not, it's not shaykh. And that's the psak of the Ran, the Rosh, the Ran. They say something fully cooked. Of course there's no agasa. The Magid Mishnah, he says, once something is fully cooked, it's game over. You can go and mix it. What's the problem? Comes again the Kolbai in the 31st Sivan. And the 31st Oisov. And the Kolbai says that if you have a fully cooked cholent, says the Kolbai, don't make it. No mixing. And he says, and if you mix it, you chayiv chatis. You hear the words I just said? Chayiv chatis. I wrote the words. He says, afilu kedera mevusheles kol zman shehi ala eish. If you have a fully cooked cholent on the eish, on the fire, he says, if you cook it, if you mix it, you chayiv. What is this? You're allowed to take this. You hear this, everybody said, you're allowed to take this cholent and put it back on the fire. You hear what I'm saying over here, Rabbi Singer? You're allowed to take this cholent and put it back on the fire. You're allowed, but you're not allowed to mix it. Why not? It's fully cooked. It's tamua. It's a very strange thing. If it says in Mishabur, you know what the reason is? They're like, hey, I don't know. Beis Yosef, when he brings this, he's not so friendly over here. You see the Shulchan Aruch didn't paskin like this, right? The Shulchan Aruch and Sif Yitches, the only thing the Shulchan Aruch had a problem with is what? That's why people get confused. When they learn this end of the Mishabur, they get very confused because the Shulchan Aruch, he doesn't have a problem with Megis. He only has a problem with Megis of mixing when it's not fully cooked. The Mishabur discusses when it is, yes, fully cooked, not even in Sif Yitches. He discusses it in Sif Yitches. Over there by Sharzin Kuf Mem Ches, on top, Ubeis Yosef Kasav, the Rava Magid says there's no problem if it's fully cooked. Ein bagasai chiyuv. There's no problem if you mix it when it's fully cooked. What could be the problem? And the Beis Yosef says b'shem the kol boi when it's on the eish chayiv afilu b'mevushal kol tzarchai. Adkan, interesting Mishabur. You don't even know how the Mishabur paskins. Tom, it's an interesting Mishabur. Mishabur says the Beis Yosef says like this. He doesn't say aval hakol boi. He just says Beis Yosef kasav. But the Beis Yosef says in the name of the kol boi that when it's on the fire, you're chayiv on agasa. It's interesting. It sounds like he's bringing both shitas. Says the Shartian, I don't know. I see over here, I must be right because I'm not getting chatted against over here. It seems like this is the only, to my knowledge, is the only place in the whole Sefer Mishnah Berurah, 697 months, that Mishnah Berurah says, I don't know. There's no other place. Akapanim, he says, my odif agasa mi bishul mamesh. What could be the difference between agasa and bishul? When something is cooked, you're allowed to let it go to the stomach. But when it's cooked, you can't mix it. I don't know. How could I know? The Mishnah doesn't know. And then he says, there's no bishul. And it says in version that the Sefta, the Alkopanim b'divi, says the B'shartzin, b'di'evet don't answer. Okay, it sounds like he is chayshish. He says only b'di'evet don't answer it, but it sounds like he's chayshish. This is such a shocking chiddush. Now, Rabbi say, the Ramban and the Rashba, they say on Daf Yud Ches in the base, they say, Ein hagasa achar hagasa. Ein hagasa. So, in other words, they mashma that let's say even, you hear this, Maisa? Let's say I have a pot that's not fully cooked. It's not fully cooked. And I did one hagasa to it. They sound like, if you do another hagasa, it's not a problem. There's only a problem on the first hagasa. So what are we dealing with over here? We're dealing with a fully cooked food over here. It's a very, and the Ram says it's mutter, and the Rosh says it's mutter, but the Beis Yosef brings a kolbai and the Mishabur. So this is very intriguing. And we have a lot of questions over here, Rabbi, that we have to know first of all, we have to know what's pshat in this kolbai. Why do we need to know what pshat in the kolbai is? Because we need to know how to apply it. Rabbi said, if I want to take, and now I have to know all my chumras. Do I have the same chumras? Just like I wasn't allowed to mix a cholent before when she wasn't fully cooked, and I wasn't allowed to take out with a spoon when she wasn't fully cooked. So now, I don't know. Rabbi said, why are you not allowed to use a spoon when it comes to something that's not fully cooked? Because you know what the El Rabbi says? He says, because you're going to come to mix it. It's a very common thing that when you take a spoon and you go into a pot with a spoon, that you're going to come to mix it. So I don't know. So then once you're machmir on this business, I don't know why we're machmir, but when something is fully cooked, you can't mix it. So then maybe I'll be machmir also that you can't take out with a spoon. And Rabbi say, this is the basis for why all of us are looking on Friday nights for Ifanim and Eitzes. How are we going to, have a blech and take off the cholent and put it back? Because we aren't going to scoop straight out of the cholent pot. Did you ever wonder why I can't scoop straight out of the cholent pot? Manashach, if it's not fully cooked, you shouldn't be doing anything over there by the cholent pot. And now you're going to put the lid back on. Tell them we're dealing with a fully cooked cholent. So why in the world can't I take off the lid, take out the cholent? What are we doing with blechs? Who needs a blech? Well, you need a ganze blech. So this is where it comes from. This is where it comes from. Says the Mishabur in Sivkat in Kufyat Gimel. Says the Mishabur in Sivkat in Kufyat Zayin. He brings over here an El Rabbi. He says, open a spatchel called sarchai. Afilu oymid ala eish. If it's fully cooked, first he brings the sheet to the Beis Yosef. If it's fully cooked, mutter lohoitzi bekaf. If it's fully cooked, you're allowed to take out with a spoon. You're allowed to take out with a ladle. Kain match. And the Beis says, aval. What's aval in the Mishnah Berurah? Aval's a psak. Aval. El Yerabba Masik. The yesh lesser bezeh. Based on what? Because we lemaisa, and that's bemis. The Ramah bemis says, "Ulechatchila yesh lizoyer af b'kedera b'kol inyan." Says the Sharetzian. What does it mean? The Ramah says you should be machmir on a pot b'kol inyan. Says the Mishabura Sivkat in Kuf Yazayin. Ella, he says don't mix. Don't mix it. We'll see in a minute what he goes on over here. But he says, don't do agasa when it's not on the eish. So what's the implication in the Mishabura? When you have a cholent on the fire, number one is don't mix because of the kolbai. I don't know why. Number two is don't take it out with a spoon. Okay? Why shouldn't I take it out with a spoon? Why not? Because you're going to come to mix. So now we have a lot to deal with over here. Am I allowed to cover a fully cooked cholent? Am I allowed to cook a not fully cooked cholent? I can't cook. I can't cover. And I also can't mix. And now you're telling me that a fully cooked cholent, I know I'm allowed to put it back on a fire, but you're telling me I can't mix, and you're telling me I can't take out with a spoon when it's fully cooked. So am I going to make all the same rules? Number one, am I going to allow to cover it? One child. Number two is this din that we're saying you're not allowed to mix a cholent when she's fully cooked. Is that only by a cholent or is that by soup? Am I allowed to mix a soup? And then if you're going to tell me what's in a gay, you think, okay, most people aren't mixing soups. But I don't know. First of all, am I allowed to mix a soup if it's fully cooked? Second of all, am I allowed to take out with a ladle? I want to leave the soup on the fire. For whatever reason, you're telling me I can't take out with I can't take out with a spoon my cholent because I'll come to mix. Okay, it'd be very convenient sometimes just leave the soup on the fire. It's very convenient. And you just start scooping out. Can I do that? Can I mix it? Can I scoop out? That's a shaila, or maybe it's only by solids. I don't know. Maybe it's only by cholids. I don't know why it would be by that. I don't know. And now another shaila. Where am I allowed to scoop out? Over here it says in the Kolbai that you can do it. You can scoop out you can't scoop out from the eish. What's an eish? An eish means, can I move over the cholent onto the side of the blech? I'll move it on to the side of the blech, which is not directly under the fire. Is the only problem when it's directly under the fire. So does anybody know the answer to these questions? Who knows? No? Sam, you know? No, you don't know. Erwin? Who knows? Yaakov, you know? No, you know, say. So I'm going to tell you very interesting. Voss. No, see? Everything. You know the answer to any of these questions? What's the answer? You can't take it out. No, that we know. That wasn't our question. Our question was, we have three questions now. Question number one is, can I move it over where it's not on the fire? I don't know. Can I move it over and scoop out when it's not on the fire and mix it when it's not on the fire? I don't even understand in the first place why I can't mix it when she's on the fire, but I can't. And I can't scoop out when she's on the fire. So when she's fully cooked. So can I move her over and scoop out when she's not directly on the fire? Can I mix it when she's not directly on the fire? I don't know. You know? You don't know. The question number two, can I cover her? Can I cover her? Can I cover a not fully cooked cholent? No. Bein on the fire, bein on the fire. You're telling me this is the same thing. So I don't know. I know one thing. I know I can return it to a fire. And I know there's some kind of a chilik between stirring and returning it to a fire. But can I cover it? I don't know. Maybe when you cover it, that like makes the air bubbles go around. So it's the same thing as a goat. Can I cover it on the fire or not? I don't know. Okay. Another thing I don't know is, what about a soup? I'm talking about a cholent the whole time. Is it only a cholent? Is it a soup also? Can I stir a soup? And can I take out directly from a soup? So what's the answer? Good questions. Good questions. So I'll tell you like this. So if you want to get totally confused, and you know I would never want anybody here to get totally confused. All right. So if you want to get totally confused, no, who here? Does anybody have the answers to all these questions? So what would you do? You'll look in the Kitz's farm. You look in the Kitz's farm, all the great ones, right? And you'll see they bring Ramosha says this, and they bring down Avnei Nezer says this, and whatever. And the whole thing we don't understand in the first place. So any cooler we're taking. So I'm going to tell you already the secret. Ramosha says, no, a liquid, no problem. You can scoop out of a liquid, no problem. And you can mix the liquid, no problem. So, do you understand? I don't understand. But if I say, in the first place, I don't understand the halacha anyways. The Magid Mishnah, he says nu. The Ran says nu. The Rosh says nu. The Mishnah Berurah says lo yedatam. So I don't understand anything anyways. But if Moshe is being makel, kol tuf, yeah, right? I'm thinking it's a pretty good hashkafa, right? You know, my job would end if I would just do that. And then I saw another sefer. He brings down from Moshe that if you take it and it's not directly on the fire. Right? Moshe, and Rabbi said, who by me? By Moshe. What's by Moshe? By me. What's for Moshe? Moshe, how many times we danced for Moshe the last 10 weeks? No? Moshe, no. So I was like, did they bring another of Moshe that Moshe says, and it's almost kemat begeder agam techboish imi malka babayis, because in the some mishaburas on the side they have like pirushim and everything. So there they bring down. Moshe said, if it's directly on the fire, this is a problem, right? You can't scoop out if it's directly on the fire. But if it's already moved over, so then you can scoop out and you can mix. So now we have the answer to our second question, right? Second question. What's the first question? The first question is can I just move it over? Yeah, Ramosha says yes. So just move it over and scoop out over there on the blech. And Ramosha tells me that when it comes to a liquid, a marak, soup, so Ramosha tells me I could just mix it around and I could, even a soup, there's no problem, even directly on the fire. Okay? And what about the third question? Can I put a lid on the cover? Could I put a lid on the pot? So there's a Ramosha on that too. There's a Ramosha on that too. And you know what Ramosha says? Ramosha says that talk is a shaila. That might be a problem. So I say, look, you know what? You know, there's a lot of people when they decide, is it kedai to have Kallus as a paisik? So look, the mice, you're not going to get baby wipes. You're not going to get baby wipes. Baby is like a big thing. It's an issa, but there are other paisikim that make a mistake. So no. So maybe is it kedai Kallus? Yeah, but then the mice, it's a shtickle makeup on the yom tov sheni shayla. Okay, say it, but I shouldn't tell mezainis. There's a few things, right? But kids are, you make a cheshbon. So over here, you the wraps in Eretz Yisrael, I hold wraps are mezainis. No, for wraps being mezainis in Eretz Yisrael, it's kedai Kallus. Sorry? No, but we mattered to Kallus gave you souffles with the yeshiva souffle. Oh, you don't know what your wife is doing. Right? So you make a cheshbon. It's and some people say, you know what? It's kedai Kallus because Kallus holds you have to make a moitzian pizza, and then I get to make a birchas hamazon deraisa, and I get to wash my hands at Til Sidayim, and it's kedai. What? No, but because when I go to America, I get to make a moitzian wrap, right? Because there it's a moitzi. What? What? No, I think everybody in the world holds it that. Okay, fine. You get my point. So I think you're going to decide over here. Should I take Reb Moshe's chumrah of putting the lid on the pot and say, you know what, I'm going to not put the lid on the pot on a fully cooked food because Reb Moshe said it, but then I get two gulas. Then I could take out the soup with the ladle, and I could also mix the soup, and also all I have to do is take the challah, move her over to where it's not directly on the fire, and I think it's kedai. No, Rabbi said, I think it's kedai. No, it says it's kedai. I think it's kedai. So the one chumrah I'm going to get is no putting the lid directly on the pot when it's on the fire, which means that you can't peek. You can't peek anymore. Now it's going to be, it's not such a geshmak kula, Moshe, because now I'm going to scoop it out. It's an unbelievable thing, according to Moshe. I'm going to scoop out the challah while it's on the fire, right? I'm going to scoop it out. Oh, no, the challah is Moshe's machman. Sorry. The soup. No, right. So it works. Yeah. It's to take Rav Moshe. But if you take Rav Moshe, so then no scooping out the challah, that for sure not. That's a kol boy. Okay, no scooping out the challah. Okay, but that everybody's machman. But what do I gain? I gain that I could scoop out the soup directly on the fire, and I gain that I could move over the challah onto an area which is not directly over the fire, right? And I lose one thing, that when I take off a lid, I can't snoop around inside the challah. I can only put a lid on when the challah is not on the fire. Okay? So is it kedai to take the chumras of Rav Moshe? I think so, because then we'll get to go. And I think that's what many people do over here, because I looked around and a lot of the kids are, and that's what they write. They bring down, the halacha is like this. The halacha is that the Shulchan Aruch, you'll see, I'm not necessarily arguing, but just, maybe I'll argue a little bit. But Al-Kapanim, the Mishabura tells us to take a fully cooked challah and to mix it, but don't do it. To take a fully cooked challah and to scoop it out, don't do it. El Yerabah Aval, El Yerabah Zasa, we don't scoop out. Now, I have three shilos that I don't know the answer to. So I look on the side of my Mishabura, and he brings down Rav Moshe, Avnei Nezer. These are big people. The Sagit Shavar. No, Rabbi Khan, you're bigger than the Sagit Shavar. You're bigger than the Sagit Shavar. So what do you want from me? Right? So I decide, now I want to know, can I scoop out soup? Yeah. Even when it's on the fire. Because Rav Moshe, right? And Avnei Nezer. Can I scoop out? Can I move over the challah when it's not on the part which is by the fire? Yeah. Why? Because Rav Moshe, Avnei Nezer, right? Can I take a lid and put it onto the challah when the challah is on the fire? No, Rav Moshe, right? Okay. And this is all how you would give a shear if you're layay datam. It's l'chayr, right? So it all stems. We don't know what's going on here in the first place. And now, find me a kula, I'm going to take it. You guys are all wondering, what is Kallus got up his sleeve? No? What is Kallus got? Just give me one moment. What does Kallus got up his sleeve? Sorry, Rabbi. Give one more. So I'm going to tell you now what I have up my sleeve, Rabbi Isai. Rabbi Isai, when you look inside Rabbeinu HaGadol, the Igros Moshe, our Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, then you will see Ramosha is a little bit not fair to put Ramosha on the side of the Sefer Mishnah Berurah Klapi this halacha. Ramosha is going with a whole different mahalach. So if you want to know what the psak is of Ramosha, and if somebody wants to be Saimich on Ramosha, I'm not getting involved. You know me. It could be I'll even be Mekel, it could be a commercial. But it's mamish night and day. Ramosha has nothing to do with the Mishnah Berurah. Who says so? Ramosha Feinstein Zecher Tzadik Levracha. He has his own shita and this entire parsha, a whole different shita. So the Mela, it comes out a totally, let's don the shaila now from the start without looking in the side of the Sefer Mishnah. Say that? Watch. So now let's don our shailas. I want to ask the shaila, what's the din of these three things? Question number one again. Can I move over the cholent and scoop it out over there and mix it over there? Question number two, can I scoop out from a soup and mix a soup when it's on the fire? And question number three, I want to know about, there's lots of questions. Let's deal with these three questions first. Can I cover a fully cooked cholent when it's directly on the fire? How would you dance such a shaila? So I have to figure out what pshat in the kolbai. Let's see. Let's say you learn pshat in the kolbai is, I don't know. Okay? What does it mean, I don't know? Kolbai says that if you take cholent and mix cholent, so that's an issa deraisa. And I don't know why. It makes no sense at all to me. There's no hesber. There's no hesber to it. So Rabbi said, if there's no hesber to it, it means that means the Mishnah Berurah tried and said, this is something which is not to be verstehen. There's no understanding of how when I take a cholent and I put it on the fire, so that is mutter when it's fully cooked. But to actually mix it when it's on the fire, I don't know the reason. What does it mean? I don't know the reason. It means it's some evil xeris akasiv of something to do with mixing and fire. Should I give you an example of what could have been pshat that the Mishnah Berurah just doesn't want to say, but at least it's within the realm of layei datam. This is something that breaks the rules. So they want to say pshatim. I wrote down a few of them over here. For example, there's a pshat of the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish is in Lamed Zayin Tezvav. He says, we find this concept that in a malacha, there could be something which is called the tzorchei habishul. You know that there's one thing that you're doing bishul, and then there's something you do when you cook. There's something in the cooking process that you do, and that's part of the af malacha, even though the food is fully cooked already. But it's, when something is fully cooked and you go now and you do the final touches, it's like the makeh b'patish of the bishul, right? Okay, another pshat is they say sometimes you have to go and mix it in order that it doesn't burn. So it's related. It's in the bishul itself. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't want to say these pshatim, understandably. Why does the Mishnah Berurah not want to say this? Because he says it's just like it's hard to understand. The thing is fully cooked. So it's already done. It's totally edible. So what are you doing? You're just being meneya that it doesn't burn, or you're just doing some last finishing touch. But you can hear a voice like the loyei datam means what? It's some evil xeris akasiv that we don't know. Either like I'm saying, because it's something done in the cooking process, it's something that is done to make sure it doesn't burn, it's a part of the baking, but it doesn't make sense. It breaks the rules. It doesn't make sense. Let's go in order. If it doesn't make sense, is there any way in the world to be mechalik and say, a chicken soup, you are allowed to cook? Right? You are allowed to mix. How can you say that? We don't know why you're not allowed to mix a cholent. That cholent's on the fire. So I don't know. Rabbi say the case of that idea that comes from about the dyes, of making something, mixing something that it doesn't burn. You know where it comes from? It comes from a liquid. They used to take the liquids and they used to make sure that they wouldn't burn. Maybe that's the pshat. I don't know. Or maybe the other pshat that we said, it's mitzorchei habishul, that they would give it one mixing at the end. I don't know. Maybe they did. Or like the Mishnah Berurah, loyei datam. I don't know. So once I don't know, I know fire together with mixing has some special koyach. So I ask you a question. When I have soup on fire, is it fire? Is it fully cooked? Is it mixing? Is it all together? That's the kolba. That is the kolba. I'll tell you even more. Rabbi say, when the Rosh argues on the kolba, he doesn't bring the kolba by name, but when he argues on the kolba, how does he argue on the kolba? He says, the case of the Gemara in Beya is a liquid. And he says, over there in that case, ein bishul achar bishul, once the actual liquid is fully cooked, so there's no problem to do megas. And on that case is where the Beis Yosef is bringing down that the kolba argues. So the kolbai on the case of the Gemara and Beya is learning that even when it's fully cooked, you can't take the liquid and mix it. Do I understand why? No. Do I understand why cholent? No. So according to the Mishabura, would you be allowed to mix a liquid? The answer is a resounding no. You know who said that? The Ksaisa Shulchan, he says that pshat in these Achrayim. And that's the Pashtus. That's the Pashtus. Is there anybody that can argue on that? Come on, who can argue on that? Ramosha does argue. You know why Ramosha argues? Because I'll tell you why Ramosha argues. Now, there's two Svarim that argue. There's an Avnei Nezer, he argues Taka, and there's a Ramosha that argues. But actually, give me one more moment. Let me go weiter in this machshava for a moment. Everybody say, let's go weiter for one moment. Now the next shayla. Well, we'll come back to the ones that argue. I just want to show you what would have been if you only had a sefer mishnah. If you only have a sefer mishnah, I go to the next thing. Can I move over the cholent onto the part which is not directly over the fire? Can I move it over? So here, it's very difficult. I would have a very difficult donning this shayla by myself. Should I tell you why? Because I don't know the reason why, but I'm probably not going to want to be more machmir than what it says in the sefer kolbai. And the kolbai says on the H. So I don't know, maybe it's a koyach of fire. I don't know. I'm not going to be more machmir than the kolbai, right? I'm not going to be more machmir. The kolbai says that when you have fire and you have mixing, that's aser. I'm not going to be more machmir than that. What? Oh, so Nussi says, I don't know. He says, when you have a blech and it's 200 degrees and you take your hand and you put it on and it burns it. So what's the answer to Nussi? I'll say, Nussi, wait a minute. When I take a cholent and I take it off the fire, am I allowed to mix it? When the cholent's off the fire. So it says the Mishabur over here that you don't have to be machmir on this. Brings a Ramah that's maybe machmir. He says, ha-machmir yachmir la'atzmai. You're allowed to be machmir. Moshe Feinstein explains, it means you're not a bal gaiva if you're machmir. Okay, you're not a bal gaiva if you're machmir. He says, but klape, if you want to know, when I have cholent that's off a fire, should I take it and pour it or can I scoop out? He said, then you're a bal gaiva. Then you're a bal gaiva. If the cholent is off the fire and it's fully cooked, then you're a bal gaiva. Don't you be machmir on that. But Mashenkein, if you take the cholent off and you want to mix, I'll let you be machmir. You're not a bal gaiva. Now I ask you, Nussi, the pot, how hot is the pot? It's very hot. It's a klirishin. So I just proved to you that in a klirishin, you don't have the kolbai. How did I just prove it to you? I proved it from the kolbai. What did the kolbai say? The kolbai said that when you have a cholent on the fire, then you're not allowed to mix. Cholent off the fire, version the kolbai, you're allowed to mix. If you want to be machmir, you're not a bal gaiva. Okay, but that means how can it be different a cholent pot? How can it be different a cholent pot than the blech? The blech is 200 degrees. The cholent pot is 200 degrees. Right? Maybe it's 210 degrees. But the point is, both of them are klirishin. So you see, mixing something on the fire has this evil tzeres hakasa. Mixing something in a pot doesn't. So if I had to don the shayla, that's how I would don the shayla. That's how I don the shayla. And I would come out and I would say that it's mutter. Everyone agrees with my cheshbon. You like my cheshbon? That's my cheshbon. And the last shayla, if I had to don with just to say for Mishnah Berurah, I would say, are you allowed to cover a pot which is fully cooked? I would say, do you know the reason of why you're not allowed to mix? No. I would say, are you allowed to take a pot and put it on the fire? Yes. So then why in the world would I not be allowed to cover a pot when it's fully cooked, when it's on the fire? Dayenu, that which I don't understand, when I want to compare something, I'll compare it to that which I don't understand, or I'll compare it to something I do understand. I'll say, I'm allowed to take the cholent and put it on the fire. So why would I dream, if the kolbai didn't tell me it's aser, why would I dream it's aser? That which the kolbai told me, he told me I'm chayiv chatas, I don't understand, but he told it to me. So have it lo yosef alav. And if you're nervous about that, I would tell you it's a mefursha, halacha, and shulchan aruch. This is actually one of the greatest playim in the history of Hilchos Shabbos. It's probably the biggest kasha of the Sefer Igros Moshe, maybe in the whole Sefer, maybe in all of Hilchos Shabbos. In Siman Reish Nun Zayin, we mentioned this at the start today, Rabbi Bolzer. This is what you asked. In Reish Nun Zayin Siv Dalet, it's discussing over here a sugya of hatmana. And the halacha is, if you wrap a pot on Erev Shabbos, so now when the wrappings come off on Shabbos, if you plan on putting them back on, that's okay. This is a whole sugya of hatmana. You're not allowed to do it l'chatchila. But it says over here like this. It says, "V'hush in his bashla kedera called tzarchai. Aval im eina mevushelas called tzarcha." If you have a pot, I'm sorry, I skipped. I read the wrong thing. Excuse me. He says, "But if you started on Erev Shabbos and you already wrapped it, it's mutter to return it. V'keinim ratzel lohaisif. V'keinim ratzel lito. V'lasei zacher b'mkoimai. Let's say you want to take off that which is there. Bein sharish and cham, it doesn't matter. Afilu loya mechusa ela b'sadin. Let's say something was covered with a sadin. Yachal litlai ul'chasaisai b'glufkarin. Then you could redo it. One moment. It's a bit sugya. You can't prove it without knowing the sugya. In the sugya, it talks about how it had a lid and a cover, and you took off the lid with the cover, and now it's open, and then you return it. But in the actual lashon here, it's not muchach. Keinim writes a lit l'kulai, the law says b'makam acher. It's not muchach. It's not muchach. Here it could only be. It might be talking only about the coverings. It might not be talking about the lid. Okay, the pashtus is azay, but let's speak a sikum. And then Bishul might not be muchach. I'd rather read it. Let me read it to myself again. Yeah, maybe it's in the. Well, it's pretty much version base. Afilu tavshel shen izbashel kol tzarachay asur lahat min b'Shabbos. Okay, that's not. That's Let's see first. Let's see. Okay, then let me get back to that. Perish in Echol Chaim, Mutter Litnem Saviv, Av Bishiav Shashit Sailu, Mitzach Lizar Shalei Yachzir Akisui, Im Nizgale Mishach Shecha, Mimnei Shemimayer Ligbar Bishul. Yeah, that's pretty first. Simulation and Dalit, Siv Dalit is the first now. First, the answer to our question. It says over there that if you have apples that are fully cooked, you're allowed to put the cover back on them. You're allowed on if they're fully cooked. But if they're not fully cooked, be careful because Mimayer Bishulam. I know when they're fully cooked, you could recover them. That means the lid was off, so you could put a lid on a fire on Shabbos. Says fire. He's got to be talking on the fire here. Saying maybe it's not muchach. Is it not muchach that it's on the fire? Here, I'll pikput v'tachteh yesh eish. It says there, it's my first talking where it's on the fire. So aloch lemaisa. If I had only the Sefer Mishnah Berurah in front of me, what would I say? I would say, I don't understand the reason why, but I have a Muna Shlema in the kolbai, and therefore I'm not going to mix it on the fire, number one. And what about soup? Avad, I'm not going to mix soup either, because who knows the difference? That time, I don't know why it's us, so I'm not going to mix soup. Would I be allowed to move it over on the fire? So that I would say, if all I had in front of me was Sefer Mishnah Berurah, I would say, my stomach, it's mutter. Why? Because how could it be different then the can't be different than the actual keli itself, which is you could maybe be mechalik. You could say here there's no ashpa at all coming from the fire. Maybe when it comes to something in a pot, you can say no. I would say maybe on that. I wouldn't be 100% sure. When it's in a pot, I know it's mutter. So what's the difference if it's on the pot or on the side of the blech? The side of the blech doesn't have a din of the fire itself. It's also just a toldas or. So if that's mutter in the pot, it should be mutter also on the side of the blech. Maybe. Or you could say, no, maybe there it's got a fire conducting the heat and it has the strength of the fire. And I don't really fully understand why fire with mixing creates isser. So maybe it's a problem. I would be a little bit masupik about the second question. And about the third question, I would say, why would I ask her such a thing? Why would I ask her? If the Kol told me it's usher to mix on a fire, why would I now think that it's usher to take a lid and to put it on when it's on the fire? Why should I worry about such a thing? The chayra has nothing to do with the Kol is talking about. What do you say? So covering, so Rabbi Sher says, we find in Yardea, in Kashrus, we find that covering has the mile of mixing. because the Edom go around and the steam goes around and it has the ability to taka. But Lamaisa, it's such a rachik thing. I mean, fire also has a kayach to cook, right? Fire mamish has a kayach to cook. So Elamai, is this mixing mamish? It's not mixing mamish, right? Fire, I'll be moist even more. Shabur says, why can't I take a spoon and put it inside the chalent? Why can't I take a spoon and put it in the chalent? So we would say, because it moves it a little bit. So Shabur says, you know why? Because you're going to come to mix. The Rabbi says you're going to come to mix. So you see that it's not enough. It has to be a mixing in order to cause a problem over here. So now I see it's late, so I'm not going to go now. But that's if I had in front of me the Sefer Mishnah Berurah. Tomorrow, we'll see what happened with Ramosha. Right? Ramosha has a whole different sugang to the sugya. And because of that, he has a whole different mahalach and limit. But to just look at the Sefer of Ramosha, the biggest Moshe at the side of your Mishnah Berurah, and say, well, Ramosha was makel on the soup, and Ramosha's makel on the case of the cholent when it's on the side, and Ramosha's machmir when it comes to a lid. That's because Ramosha is obviously going with a whole different mahalach. The way we tell halacha today is kappa. The first shaila is that to mix a soup and to scoop out with a soup is yes a problem. Is yes a problem to mix with a soup according to Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah is mahalach, right? And to cover it shouldn't be a problem. And the chayra kappa, the shaila of the fire, that's a shaila exactly. I'm not 100% sure. Safek. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I would say, well, if it's a safek, and in the first place we don't understand the time, maybe you don't have to be machmer and a lot of Rishon and Remekel. Maybe. But Bez Hashem, we'll see tomorrow. Ramosha, he came out with a whole different malach because he has a whole different malach in the sukkah. Okay, everybody say. Did it come out clear for you guys? You guys on the computer over there, it came out clear? Victor, who's in jail. Victor's in Aleppo in a jail.